Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler from sunny California. It's actually, again, beautiful day here in New Jersey.
Sunny here.
Well, it's very hot, too, here, though. It's not quite 100 degrees in California, is it, Ziggy?
No, where I am right now, it is 69 degrees outside.
I actually think that's the perfect temperature.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'll give you the highs of the next week. 69, 67, 68, 70, 69, 70, and then it's going to get really hot at 72 degrees.
What's the low temperatures? What are you getting into at night?
63, 62, 63, 61, 61, 61, 62.
That's perfect.
I think slightly warmer during the day, but 69 to me is the perfect house temperature.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say maybe like my perfect outside temp is like 75.
Yeah, I think sunny and 75, right? Yeah, the song.
Couple degrees warmer, but I mean, that sounds great. Better than this.
That's nice.
98 out here.
I mean, getting that in the winters, it gets very cold. It gets into the 60s for the highs, like the low 60s.
All right.
So we've got it rough out here in Sacramento.
We're negative 60s over here in the winter.
Yeah, it's way different from Notre Dame, right? So even when we're walking around in polar vortexes, it's negative 45 degrees. You're outside for 5 minutes.
They made it illegal to go outside.
Yeah, they told us, Jack, they sent out an email and said, if you're outside for 5 minutes, you'll get frostbite. And our dorm was 7 minutes from the dining hall. So we all stocked up at Walmart and no one left the dorm for like 2 days.
I wouldn't have either.
It was wild. It was wild. But yep, that's not the case anymore, as it's 100 degrees here and it is sunny and 69 degrees in San Clemente, California. Where we're going to have...
Can I say one thing before we get started?
Please, yeah.
I just want to say the fan reception, the Fantasy Tour de France League has been unbelievable.
Oh, yes.
We're closing in on 20 entrants. So if you're not in it, it's a chance to win free Paul Farrington Show merch. Paul and Jack aren't in it, so
I'm going to join. Wait, it's not too late, or is it?
It's not too late.
No, I'm going to sign up.
Maximal bonus points.
We got 20 so far.
I'm going to sign up, Ziggy. I'll be in there.
We're closing in. We've got a lot of people doing this, and it's going to be shenanigans.
I thought it would be you versus Midwest Mountain Man in
1v1
head-to-head 1v1.
I thought it might be too, but I've been very impressed with the reception. As he said, there's a free shirt if you win. You're not going to win because I'm going to win, so I'll get a free shirt. But what are you going to do?
No, my money's on M Cubed.
So make sure to join.
I want to get a beer with M Cubed.
Tour de France League. Yeah, maybe
there's a link in our community page. You can join.
I mean, I'm planning a summer road trip in August around the country. So maybe I'll meet up with
pit stop in Wisconsin,
Midwest Mountain Man.
If you're enjoying the content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel as we're chasing down 20,000 views or subscribers to this channel, which would be, again, pretty amazing. I did a show actually this morning with Andy Herman, which should be coming out next week for Pack-A-Day. So could be some fun news coming out regarding the Paul Farrington Show's relationship with.
Do you like fun?
With Pack-A-Day. It's just discussions. There could be discussions going on right now.
Okay, Paul is refusing to tell Jack and I what this news is, so I think we'll find out.
There's no news right now. I'm just gonna say, I spoke with Andy and things are in motion. There are wheels in motion, but no promises on anything. So potentially some excitement there. So yeah, keep an eye out for that next week, and then hopefully Andy will be coming on our show in a couple weeks here, and we'll do a little home and away, as we call it in the industry. As we dive deeper into it. So again,
come up with that, Paul?
No,
you're the first person thinking of home and away.
No, I'm not. We should have a very fun show today, though, guys, talking some red flags for contenders. And the contender list that this is based off of a CBS Sports report. The contender list was pretty interesting because 3 of those teams included 3 NFC North teams, surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly to some. We'll talk about Jaxson Dart. Going to touch on Jaxson Dart. Big take on him coming from FS1 earlier this week. And Ziggy has dove headfirst into the NFL collusion case that's going on right now. He's going to break down what's going on, and then we'll see. Ziggy throws on the investigative journalism hat and tells you what to believe and what not to believe. That should be at the very least, an entertaining segment. But we're going to start off today, guys, with the Aaron Rodgers news that broke on Tuesday afternoon. Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee Show said, "I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a 1-year deal. The Steelers didn't need to put any extra years on that or anything. So this really is about finishing with a lot of love and fun and peace for the career that I've had. I mean, I've played 20 freaking years." So while not officially declaring it his retirement tour, Aaron Rodgers has alluded that this 2025 season will be his retirement tour. It's, again, 41 years old, Aaron Rodgers. That's longer than all the guys that he's basically been with. Peyton was 39, Eli 38, Roethlisberger 39, Rivers 39. 41's old for a quarterback. And I know that the initial reaction that people are going to have is the more you read about what Aaron's saying, he's talking about, wanting to disappear from the public light, and he just wants to enjoy the year. And at first glance, I understand that people are going to look at that and say, does he even really care? Like, is he just doing this because he likes football and wants to ride off into the sunset? And I think that was originally what I was thinking about saying. But I think that's a little unfair to Aaron, who is, Hall of Fame quarterback, has played 21 years. If he wanted to hang it up, he can hang it up.
I think it seems like he's doing the Steelers a favor in his eyes.
You think so?
I mean, that's when you've got a guy sitting back saying, I don't need this. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I got no chip on my shoulder. I don't want attention. I'm going to be comfortable and satisfied with whatever happens. I mean, you compare that to when Tom Brady went to the Bucs. Right?
Yep.
This is a guy with 6 Super Bowls, 6 times the number of Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers. And he said the main thing that drove him was he was pissed off that not every single team in the NFL wanted it. Well, he was pissed off that everyone was saying it was all Belichick. Even though he had 6 Super Bowl rings, he still felt like he had something to prove.
But that's what makes Tom Brady Brady.
Veteran free agent quarterback saying, I got nothing to prove. I'll have a good time for a year and move on.
I mean, I also get it. He's 41 years old, but that's just Aaron Rodgers. You take with a grain of salt what he's saying because of who he is. But when he steps onto the field in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, of course he's going to want to win. It's that competitive nature, that competitive fire. I have no worry about that. It's also the McAfee Show, so I mean, but the way it came off at first to me was how I know he's close to Mike Tomlin, and he's doing the Steelers. Here's this 4-time MVP quarterback, Super Bowl champ. Let me do these guys a favor.
Who did, because they need a quarterback?
Yes, that's how I initially viewed it.
I think it's just, like you said, this is how Aaron Rodgers behaves. Ideally, everyone talks like Tom Brady. Everybody has that J.J. McCarthy, Tom Brady mentality. You had to just slip that in there. But that's not Aaron Rodgers. And maybe I've been fooled. I may have been fooled. Because I'm thinking about things like the documentary and then just the work ethic that Rodgers seems to have. He did come back very quickly from that Achilles injury. And it's not like Aaron Rodgers just sat around and recovered, but the way that he presents himself is just so poor in terms of getting people to actually root for him, because everyone sees these comments and they go, he doesn't want to be there. Like, he's already dreaming of retirement, or yes, he just wants to ride off into the sunset. And to a degree, there's a degree of understanding that because he's 41, but it's also, you want your quarterback to have fire. You want Rodgers to come out here and saying like, yeah, the last 2 years were horrendous. Like, this is for me personal. I want to come out here and dominate. And that's just not what he's ever been like. Other than, even think about it. Remember when they drafted Jordan Love? Rodgers came out. I saw someone the other day saying that Rodgers didn't respond well to like the Jordan Love, and he came back and won 2 MVPs. Like, this guy has fires lit. And I just don't think he's very good at saying it publicly, / I don't think he wants to say it publicly. So I take it, like you said, with a grain of salt. But if it is his farewell tour, I mean, I am going to miss having Rodgers in the league.
I mean, I also think a small part of it might just want to do his best to turn Will Howard into a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. He seems like he wants to help coach up Will.
That's his little project, to coach him up
if
for
he
a
does
year.
that, then people are going to remember 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks came out of the Aaron Rodgers troop.
Yeah,
that
who's the other one?
That might be going through his head.
Jordan Love.
Oh, Love. Okay. I thought you were talking about Jet. I was like, what, Zach Wilson having a rebound or something? So, Ziggy, you looked a little skeptical while I was saying all that. You think I'm just being too nice?
Aaron, I really think that as a person and as a player, Aaron Rodgers has just changed over the years. There is no doubt to me that after the Packers drafted Jordan Love, and even earlier in his career, like Aaron Rodgers, he certainly got a huge chip on his shoulder sitting under Brett Favre for 3 years. He got a huge chip on his shoulder when he won a Super Bowl and wasn't getting enough respect. He got a huge chip on his shoulder when they drafted Jordan Love and said, you're washed up. I really think this time is different. I think that Aaron Rodgers has really enjoyed his time with the media, even though he says when he retires, no one's ever going to hear from him again. Does anybody believe that? Does anybody think when Aaron Rodgers retires, he's going to ride off into the sunset and go like Victor Wembanyama and become a Shaolin monk?
Did you see that?
No, there's a legitimate chance he might just disappear.
I actually think he might. And then his relationship and his marriage now makes me think that might be on the table.
He's not married. I don't believe it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could say he's not married, but he's like he has a ring. He says he's married,
there's no legal filings. Like this is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't speak English. He speaks a foreign language that sounds a lot like English. Not getting into it, like you saw with the inoculation thing. You saw, I think, with this marriage thing, there have been no legal filings in any state.
Doesn't this sound like the kind of person who would just disappear?
Maybe,
but this doesn't. So maybe he would just disappear. Here's what it does not sound like. This does not sound like a guy who's going to come in, transform your locker room, and play great football.
That's fair.
It sounds like my uncle who insists he was abducted by aliens when he was a teenager. Maybe he was. I'm not even going to say the story is false. What I am going to say is that I'm not sure that's a person who's going to lead an NFL team.
Does your uncle actually claim that?
Yeah. Lots of people were abducted by aliens in Livermore. There's a huge nuclear facility right there. The Lawrence Livermore lab. Sam Pasman worked there.
There's a whole other conversation we could. We'll stay on Rodgers. That could easily be derailed.
I can go into the conspiracy theories all day.
Why are you an alien believer?
I believe in aliens. Yeah,
but like an alien. I mean, like UFOs on Earth. Like
I also think midget people are in the center of the Earth, living there.
Okay.
No,
all
you don't.
All right.
Okay, Jaxson.
What's that? Agartha, right? Is that what's called?
Aaron Rodgers does believe that. That is the thing Aaron Rodgers believes.
I mean, again, it sounds like the kind of person who would just disappear.
Him and I, 2 Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 great quarterbacks.
But
Makes
listen,
sense.
the long story short on this is, do I think the fire in Aaron Rodgers is there like it used to be in certain situations? No, I think he's amazingly, I think he's even mellowed out more as time has gone on. What I also think is that he's going to work. I think he's going to work hard. I think he's going to play hard. It's not the ideal version of Rodgers that you'd want. This is not what you want to hear if you're a fan base. But I still, like, this doesn't make me go, oh, they made a mistake. This makes me go, no, they signed up for Aaron Rodgers. This is what you get.
I bet you behind closed doors, he's fired up. He's got the ring on. He's married to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but nobody else knows that but them.
He's married to the game.
Yes, married to the game, married to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to give it his all.
Just a complete mental switch. He comes out.
Yes, and then in like out to the public world, the public eye, it's a total joke. But in the locker room, he's all systems go.
He is. If there were a player who were to do that, Aaron Rodgers certainly would be it. And like, I'll give him some credit. Here's something I have not seen Aaron Rodgers do with the Jets. They did with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's working out with DK Metcalf and talking about what a great guy he is. We got a reporter from Zach Rosenblatt, The Athletic, like the Rodgers-Garrett Wilson relationship was just always terrible. And then it really fell apart. Aaron Rodgers is clearly trying to do things differently in Pittsburgh. He's learned something from that time in New York.
But he was also trying to do things right in New York. You know what I mean? Remember all the reports of like Sauce Gardner, a great relationship, and mentoring Zach Wilson.
He went to Egypt in the middle of mandatory minicamp.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but it seemed like he was at times. That's where it's different with Rodgers. He's going to do things his way. He's going to do things that people don't like. And now he's not winning MVPs. So it gets scrutinized more. And I think I think we've come to a point where we criticize him almost too much in the media. And we forget, that this guy, there's a reason he's been in the league for 20 years.
He also loves Mike Tomlin, though.
Yeah. And the Steelers are, by the way, a good point, Jack.
We're different than the Jets.
The Steelers are different from New York.
Yeah, this is not the Jets.
So this is a functional organization.
This is
now
like
the
Green
Jets,
Bay.
Maybe the Jets are going to get there. But yeah, think about who Rodgers has played for. Green Bay, then the Jets, and now the Steelers.
Now he's pretty much back in a place like Green Bay, but just better.
Like this if there was a place where this could work, if there was a place where this could work, I actually thought Minnesota could too with what they have. These were probably the two best options, Minnesota and Pittsburgh. So, again, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they'll be relevant. Like they'll be in the picture. If they won 5 games, I'd be surprised. They'll probably do what the Steelers do: 9-8, maybe 10-7.
Win totals 8.5.
Blasted in the first round of the playoffs, and
not with Rodgers.
No,
we're not getting blasted with Rodgers.
Oh yeah, Rodgers is his epic playoff career.
He won't get blasted.
I'm rooting for you guys. So, the NFL red flags. We're going to focus on the NFC North teams. This was a CBS article where they listed the biggest red flags for contenders. And Jack, you might be interested in that. The 10 contenders that they listed were the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Bengals. Those were the only contenders in the AFC. Sorry. Makes sense. Big four. NFC, we had the Eagles, the Rams, the Commanders, and then the Lions, Packers, and Vikings. The Vikings snuck into the top 10 contenders, according to CBS Sports. Now, we're going to go through...
We're better than you guys. I don't know how that's possible.
Well, this is what's crazy, and we're going to get to it in a second. Well, you know what? We'll get to that in a second. Wait for the Vikings. Wait for the Vikings, and we'll get to that. So we're going to run through the Lions, Packers, and Vikings. And, maybe if we're enjoying this, we could talk about the concerns they listed for other teams. But we're going to tell you what the concern is, the concern level that we have, and whether or not we actually agree that is the biggest concern. For Detroit, I'll read it because it's like 4 sentences each. For the Lions, staffing shakeups. If it were up to Dan Campbell, the Lions would have just run it back with the coaching staff. Instead, the beloved leader is set to enter 2025 with 2 of his right-hand men in Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn gone. After both coordinators landed top jobs of their own, Campbell's fiery touch is still as evident as the Lions' enviable skill talent. But weathering such a dramatic shift in sideline personnel is easier said than done. Just ask the Eagles of 2023, who lost Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon to head coaching gigs. So, let me ask you, Ziggy, first. Do you agree that staffing shakeups, the coordinators being gone, is the biggest problem in Detroit?
I think it is. Whether or not I think it's a big problem, we're not getting there yet. You don't have concerns about this roster. They will be healthier next year, and they've got a top 3 offensive roster and a top 3 defensive roster, I think, just in terms of players. You don't have concerns there. You don't have to worry about the head coach. You don't have to worry about the culture. I don't see what else you could be worried about with this team. Obviously, you can point to a couple player losses, but I think the personnel losses are more significant. Yeah, there's no doubt it's the biggest concern. The Lions have several players, developmental players. They need to get better. They need to keep the scheme advantages that they had week in, week out last year. And it's not so clear if they're going to be able to do that.
Go, Jack.
I'd say durability and staying on the field. I mean,
but last year was freaky. I don't know, man.
Well, like you said, they have a top 3 offense, top 3 defense. The talent's amazing. One would hope anybody can step in there and coach.
So you're not worried about the coordinators at all?
No.
Yeah. That checks out with your... Actually, that does fit your mold.
The Lions are one of the top 5 most talented teams in the NFL, who last year were injured all over the place and allowed 50 points in their playoff game.
Remember, as everyone was saying, how could this team be stopped? And I was saying,
and it was injuries.
There's curses that exist. And
it was injuries.
Everyone comes out saying, no, there's no way. What's the curse with this team?
So Paul's biggest concern for the Lions is witchcraft.
It could be. Yeah.
I mean, that's like a valid concern.
That actually, the Vikings and Lions could easily just be witchcraft.
The Lions
2 different kinds of witchcraft.
Is durability and staying on the field. That's the Lions.
I see where you're coming from, because it's hard to argue that after last season, that was the piece that crushed them. I just don't like listing durability as the concern. You know what I mean? Like that, to me, that's just saying there are no concerns, because you're hoping you stay healthy.
What else would it be? They're the number 1 seed.
No, I get it. I think that there are a couple you could point to. I think the defense, I think you want the defense to reach an elite level. No, there's just some new faces coming in that you just, and guys returning that you hope can live back up to their expectations and previous performance levels. But to me, the big ones are Ragnow and Ziegler leaving, the interior of the offensive line, as you have Graham Glasgow and Tate Ratledge replace them. Should be okay. And you have great players on that line that can hopefully lift them up. But that has to be a bit of a concern. But I'd agree. I think it has to be the coaches, because Ben Johnson was just so creative and so effective for them that with him gone, maybe there will be hiccups. I don't think it's, when we talk about concern level 1 to 10, I'd put it at like a 4 or 5.
I'd legit put it a 1, I think.
No, I'd say like a 4 or 5, like a 4, because I think that it has to be acknowledged. But at the end of the day, this roster is so good that if the Lions came out and looked fundamentally different next year, I would just be stunned. But it has to be on your radar when you have guys that that are that sought after by other teams.
Well, I guess like you lose out on schemes and ways you're used to playing.
Yeah,
maybe I'd go to
you're bringing guys in that, again, have familiarity with the system, but it's just not you are making changes and you're replacing leaders.
Maybe
and I think that
3.
has potential effects.
I'd go with a 3.
Ziggy, what number you come down on?
I am right there, the 3-4 range. I think that, especially if we're scoring this on a curve, like how much does this make me doubt the Lions as a contender? If that's what we mean, actually, I'd put it even lower, like at 2. I think the Lions are they might be the team I'm most confident in will be a contender next year out of any team in the NFL. I have very few, even if a team takes a significant step back from last year, that means winning 11 or 12 games instead of 15.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about this at all.
So the next team on the list, the Packers, this is pretty funny, given the context of that last conversation. The Packers Red Flag, depth and durability. Here's the synopsis. It was one thing. Yeah, it was one thing for Jordan Love to battle multiple injuries in 2024. It was another for the quarterback to lose practically his entire receiving core to various ailments by the year's end. The Packers did their best to bolster their depth this offseason, spending not 1, but 2 early draft picks on receiver help. But at the end of the day, LaFleur needs his arsenal to stay on the field to ensure his steady rate of postseason bids continues. That includes on defense, where Nate Hobbs will be tasked with filling the shoes of the also often banged up Jair Alexander. Again, I don't like the big concern being injury related. Like, to me, that's a cop out.
Yeah, I can't use it again now. Darn it.
Yeah, well, to me, it is a cop out, and I just think for the Packers in particular, there are several other much bigger red flags.
Yeah, it's in their secondary.
Like, I don't think this is even close to the number one concern for me.
I think it's in the Packers, it's in their secondary.
Well, you could pick a bunch of different options. Like that's one of them. I think I would honestly go with the red. There's 2 that came to mind for me. One of them is, can Jordan Love get to the elite level? But that's more of a,
it's also a cop out.
I don't know if that's a red flag. The real red flag to me are these quote unquote role player guys, the areas where you actually do have depth, that receiver and that edge, are they, and the cornerbacks, like you said, the secondary, are they all going to rise their level of play? Love to, because you're relying on a bunch of people on this Packers team to take a step up. That's where we've talked about this before, where they're looking for improvement. The Lions are getting guys back who are really good. The Vikings brought new people in who are really good. The Packers are hoping the guys that they have go up a level, which they did last year and it didn't work. And if they don't do it again this year, you're kind of the same team and you're not going to win a Super Bowl. So to me, the red flag is you're relying on the same thing that you were hoping for last year that didn't work to work this year. Does that sound fair? I
think you can also say relying on a young kid in Matthew Golden to take an immediate step and be your top receiver.
That's part of what I'm saying.
That's what he's drafted to be. I mean, you got the Vikings with Justin Jefferson and the Lions with Amon-Ra. Like, a lot of these teams have that legitimate stud receiver that the Packers are going up against twice a year. And Green Bay is guys who are good, but no one really on that next level. And the red flag, I think, to me, is they drafted a rookie, first round draft pick as a receiver in Green Bay in 22 years. And I think he's expected to be that guy off the bat.
I saw you shaking your head, Ziggy. Are you shaking your head in disagreement, or are you just saying like...
I think I agree with this. If you look at the other contenders on that list, here would be my red flag for the Packers. The Packers have not shown they have a superstar at a critical position. They've got one real superstar player in Xavier McKinney, and that's it. The Bills, Josh Allen. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson. The Chiefs, you've got Mahomes and you've got Chris Jones. The Eagles, do I even need to list them? The Lions, you've got Jared Goff, whether or not you think he's a superstar. You got Amon-Ra, you've got Aiden Hutchinson. They've got stars. The Rams have Stafford. The Commanders have Jaden Daniels. The Bengals, loaded. The Vikings, Justin Jefferson, and all our stars on the defensive line. The Packers don't have proven superstars at important positions. I actually think, if anything, depth is a strength of this team. I don't think it's a red flag at all.
100%.
You've got so many good players you can put on the football field who are young talents. But what you don't have is a player who you can count on, right? 2 minutes left in the game. You need a huge play on offense or defense. You don't have Aaron Donald who can come out and say, ring me. You don't have Patrick Mahomes who can guarantee you're going to score a touchdown. You don't have Lamar Jackson putting up 500 total yards over the course of the game. You don't have Justin Jefferson open every single play. Like, you just don't have that if you're the Packers. And they might, but they have to prove it. And I think there's some players like Edgerrin Cooper, like Golden, like Jordan Love that can take that next step, but they haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, yeah, depth is obviously a good thing, but they don't have that dude.
They have depth everywhere. They have depth at receiver. They have depth across the line. They have depth on the defensive line. Like, it's really everywhere except the second.
Except corner.
Yeah. But that's
safety. They've got depth. I mean, you've got three.
No,
great
they do.
John Bullard.
That's a good point. Is the depth is not the red flag. It's just finding that one dude.
But I think both of what we said, Ziggy, kind of go hand in hand. Like, you're saying no superstars. I'm saying, I agree with you. I'm saying that you need the these very good players or good players to step up. And even the other one I said was Jordan Love elevating back up to superstar tier. That's because that's what they're missing. And that's what we talked about the entire offseason was, will they go get one of these edge rushers who were, to be fair to the Packers, probably not going to be moved. Would they go get one of the receivers who, again, probably weren't going to be moved, but they didn't. So that's the position they're in now where they need some guys to step up. And I don't know. I actually think the concern level as far as the durability one means nothing to me. The durability, is like a 1.
That's the Lions.
That's
nothing. The Lions.
But the actual role player stepping up, let's say that's it, or the lack of a superstar, I'd say it's like a 6. I don't think it reaches critical level, but I think it reaches a level where if Jordan Love does not elevate up, I don't think they can win a Super Bowl. And that's where you could then talk me into like a 7 or an 8, because I think that is in question right now.
Yeah, Jordan Love not taking a leap would be more concerning for me than, because I think if he's good, he'd be good enough that where they'd be good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, good Jordan Love
like a good
will get them to the playoffs. They'll be competitive, and he has the ceiling capable of going on a run.
Yeah.
But great Jordan Love for the year where they might win the division, maybe the ones. Now you're like, okay, like these guys,
Super Bowl
like they'll be a Super Bowl team for a long time.
Well, this is the year, right? These guys have had enough time. It is time to show up. And frankly, if we're not next offseason talking about the superstars on the Packers, whether it's on offense or on defense, this current iteration of the roster will never win a Super Bowl. If it does not happen this year, these guys won't become superstars. Like, maybe Golden is an exception there, but that's sort of it. You've got so many young guys who have had so much time. They've been the youngest roster in the NFL 2 years in a row, and they've done a great job making the playoffs. But at this point, a lot of these guys are entering their 3rd, their 4th seasons. Christian Watson's a free agent next year. Like, all of those guys are up for extensions very soon.
Mm-hmm.
This year has to be the year, not necessarily that they win a Super Bowl, but that they show that they can.
Ziggy's saying the pressure is on in the fake title town.
What's your number, Ziggy? 1 to 10. 1 to 10 with this lack of a superstar, requiring role players to step up. 1 to 10 concern.
Given what I just said, my standard is how much does this make me question whether or not they can be Super Bowl contenders? It's an 8 or a 9.
Oh, 8 or a 9.
It is urgent. It has to happen now.
Yeah, you know what?
You're talking about to a 7. If it doesn't happen, there's no chance. I'll say there is no chance they will be competitive for a Super Bowl if it does not happen at some point this year.
What does competitive for Super Bowl mean?
Top 5 or 6 favorites.
Okay. All right. The last NFC North team here was the Vikings, who snuck into the top 10 contenders, according to CBS Sports.
I have a legitimate red flag. Is the Vikings O-line good?
Yes.
Oh, it is good?
Yeah. It's okay.
The tackles are elite. The interior was mediocre, and they just upgraded it.
Then there's actually no red flags.
We are Michigan.
I mean, there's no red flags.
I mean, no. The O-line. Well, remember we drafted Donovan Jackson.
We brought Hawkinson, an O-line, and run, and then who's the running back? Aaron Jones
and Jordan Mason. Yeah.
There's no red flag.
Well, here's the thing. So the concern for the Vikings,
there's none.
Quarterback uncertainty.
No. Hand the ball off.
It's rare you find a team so equipped for a deep playoff run, yet without so much as a morsel of certainty under center. J.J. McCarthy may have the full support of a winning staff led by O'Connell, whose chief strength, besides perpetual Minnesota nice optimism, is maximizing his quarterbacks. But he's still a 22-year-old with 0 real NFL snaps under his belt, facing not only a difficult schedule, but inflated expectations from fans who watched Sam Darnold win 14 games a year ago. He's at least got the weapons and staff to aid his debut, which is, maybe CBS Sports people have been listening to the show because that's about exactly what we've said regarding J.J. McCarthy, the expectations, the unique situation he finds himself in. As Jack alluded to a moment ago, this Vikings roster is pretty complete. The coaching staff, pretty complete. I think you can argue the secondary has some concerns, but if you're going to pick a red flag, a true red flag, they nailed it.
Yeah, but it's legitimately
this is the concern.
It's legit that this man has never thrown a football. Like you look, Michigan, he won a national championship with a massive offensive line, biggest in the country.
He had a great drive against Alabama.
Biggest in the country.
Some big fourth down conversions.
Blake Corum got 45 carries a game. Tight ends were huge, and Michigan's offense was handoffs and dump downs, and they won a championship. So, look, if the Vikings O-line is great, and McCarthy can turn around and hand the ball off to Aaron Jones and dump it off to Hawkinson
and Jefferson,
but the red flag is that if he can throw a football. That's the red flag.
But it's quarterback, and yeah, that's it right there. And
can this quarterback throw the ball?
And this is something we talked about.
Because I've never seen him do it. Seriously, I've never seen him do it.
This is something we talked about with Andy, or that I talked about with Andy this morning, was what do I actually think about JJ? And I think we've come around to being a little more honest on this take. Not that I was lying before.
You're a little less excited.
Yeah, I'm gonna say not that I was lying about, but I put on the sober goggles. I do have real concerns here. I believe in McCarthy. I'm very hopeful that he can be good, but I mean, come on, he throws the ball he
legitimately throws the ball.
He throws the ball a little.
How many?
There's a reason he was a first round quarterback.
Yeah, because he gave it to Blake Corum, won a championship.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Dumped these tight ends over the middle. Like, it was easy for him.
No, I know.
I could have been a first-round pick.
Well, that's the concern, is that we just don't know.
Massive moose on the offensive line for him.
Yeah, that's the concern, is that in college, he wasn't Caleb Williams lighting it up, and then he got hurt. So there are definitely concerns around JJ that I am actively worried about as a Viking fan. But I also believe in the culture that he's in. I believe in the coaches. I believe in the players. But yeah, I'd be an idiot to be up here and say we're a surefire thing.
What was Corum's average yard? Just fine, like 350 yards a game.
They're not quite. But I think the concern level is seriously a 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
I think it's a real 10 out of 10.
It's a 10 out of 10. You can't pass. You can't throw the ball.
The one thing I want to see, whether Kevin O'Connell is able to fully take advantage of this or not, I think this is something not a lot of people realize because he didn't see it tons at Michigan. JJ McCarthy is a genuine dual threat quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be Lamar Jackson with 1,000 rushing yards, but 400 rushing yards with 5 or 6 rushing touchdowns is absolutely not out of play next year. And we've seen this a lot when quarterbacks enter into the NFL. If you can be a genuine dual threat, even if you're not great, that can give you a ton of leeway, even if you're not a great player. I mean, think about Daniel Jones, right? That a lot of his ability to be even a functional quarterback was determined just by how much coaches were willing to use him as a dual threat quarterback. Mm-hmm. And when you got him running and you can make throws on the run, which are things JJ McCarthy's good at, any scouting report will tell you that, it can open up a lot. So the challenge for O'Connell is going to be, and we're going to get to see how good a quarterback coach he really is here. And I think the answer is great. Kirk Cousins was not a dual threat at all. This isn't even before the Atlanta days. This was not a guy who was going to be running for 500 yards. Sam Darnold was sort of in between. He could move a little bit, but this was not. JJ McCarthy's different. And if we can unleash that, I actually think that's going to dramatically improve the outcome of the season.
I think that Sam, you could also legitimately just talk like curse and witchcraft with the Vikings too. I legit think that Sam Darnold had the best QB season in Viking history last year, winning 14 games, and they didn't even
QB season in Viking history.
Yeah, they won 14 games.
He had a very, very good season. I mean, he had one of the better quarterbacking seasons in Viking history, but not the best.
But they didn't even win the division.
Yeah.
Lost in the first round, and now you got a dude who hasn't thrown a football.
Yeah, that's
so the concerns are legit. I'd say it's a 12 out of 10.
Yeah, it's dude, Kirk really could. And when you talk about immobile quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins might be up there with the least mobile ever.
How about the final years of Big Ben?
Yeah, but Ben at least could throw people around. People bounced off Ben. Kirk would just
destroyed.
Kirk would tuck and fumble. So yeah, it is fair to be concerned about McCarthy, but we'll see. It's the most. I think it's the most unique case for a first year quarterback that I can remember. Other than having a lot of hype. Because there are quarterbacks who come in with a ton of hype. That's not the case. This is a guy who's being brought in, as you said, Jack, with so many questions about his own ability, who's also expected to lead a great roster on a deep run. I don't remember anything like this. I think it's one of the most unique situations we've seen for a first-year starter ever.
There's only one more unique situation for a first-year quarterback I can think of.
Wait, hold on. Let me think. One more unique
It's
situation.
not going to be what you think.
Oh, go ahead.
Ben Roethlisberger.
It's when Justin Herbert became a starter because the doctors almost murdered Tyrod Taylor by stabbing his lung. Right? Like that's unusual. Hey, we weren't going to start you, but our doctors just stabbed our quarterback in the lungs, so you got to get in there.
You talk about collusion. That sounds like something's going on there. All right, so
I will just to give my number before we finish.
Yes,
I also think it is a 10, but I think that's just because the Vikings really should be that we're not contenders, not really. I mean, at least we sort of are. We're borderline top 10, but the mere fact that we're there is incredible.
That shows the
JJ
strength.
McCarthy has way too much. If you're expecting JJ McCarthy to come in and make this team a Super Bowl contender, you are asking for way too much.
Well, that's the strength of the roster. That's why they're there.
If McCarthy's like Jaden Daniels to win the Super Bowl,
It's all there. Coach of the year, great defensive mind. I mean, it's all there. So that's why the pressure is
you don't have Blake Corum.
quite high.
You can't win. You don't have Blake Corum.
We have Aaron Jones though. He could.
Corum's better for McCarthy.
Jordan Mason. I'm telling you,
You need Corum.
could be the guy.
You need Corum.
Trade with the Rams. Okay, so we brought up collusion a second ago here, Ziggy. Buckle up, listeners. This could go in a thousand directions.
We're going to keep this chill.
This could go in 1,000 directions. So I'm going to turn the reins over to Ziggy it's a very, very, interesting case. Interesting is a bad word, but it's been a story that's been swept under the rug, and it's a major story that we're going to continue to hear more and more about, this collusion amongst NFL owners and NFLPA that Ziggy will now debunk whether it's true.
Non-collusion.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Ziggy says it's not collusion. So go ahead, take it from here.
In 1939,
interstate.
No, I'm messing around. I'm messing around. I'm not going to rehearse interstate circuit v. US for you guys.
Oh my gosh,
headphones are coming off.
I'll say this. We'll keep this brief. Like a lot of things in the NFL, the problem begins with the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns signed Deshaun Watson to a ridiculous $230 million forward guaranteed deal. And this causes a ton of problems around the NFL. Owners aren't happy. The NFL is not happy. Cleveland's fans aren't happy. I think the only person who was happy was Deshaun Watson, maybe his agent. So if you're the NFL, what are you going to do about that? Players obviously always want to get paid more. They always want more guaranteed money. The NFL always wants to play players the least. They want to not give them guaranteed money. It's a tale as old as time.
Yes.
So in response to the Deshaun Watson contract, the NFL has a committee put together by Roger Goodell that makes recommendations to owners on how they should approach player negotiations, how they should approach guaranteeing, and the rest. I actually didn't know that. That was a surprise to me, that they've got a competitive management committee that tells owners. They put together presentations. And what this presentation said basically was like, this Deshaun Watson contract is terrible. You've got a lot of big quarterback negotiations coming up. If you guarantee them a lot of money, you will be screwing your team forever and will never be able to come back from this. So probably don't do that. Not a great
But
start.
they didn't tell them to do that.
Indeed. So I'm not going to get into details of conspiracy here, but the basic upshot of what came out of this report that was suppressed by the NFL and the NFLPA, it's like 130 pages. You can go read it if you want. Is that happened? There's no evidence that individual owners took that as a directive and acted on it. But guaranteed money did go down. Quarterbacks quickly stopped getting deals like the Deshaun Watson money, which sort of makes sense because who was going to give a Deshaun Watson deal anyway? And there's just some funny things, I think, that came out of it that you can see in this report. One was Russell Wilson expected the Broncos to give him a 7-year, $350 million fully guaranteed contract. He was upset they didn't. That was one of the complaints. Another complaint was Kyler Murray expected a fully guaranteed contract and didn't get it. The third was Lamar Jackson wanted a fully guaranteed contract and didn't get it.
But Ziggy. Let me ask you real quick here. When I was listening to the Pablo Torre podcast that I did on this with your friend Mike Florio, it did seem like to me, because there were situations where with the Kyler Murray case, the Cardinals owner texting with the Chargers owner, and the Chargers owner is saying he's like,
I can read that text exchange.
Oh, please.
Right
Go ahead.
It's sort of fun to read. So here's how the text exchange goes. Finish what you were saying, Paul.
No, let's read the exchange and then it's
So this is between Dean Spanos and I can't remember what Bidwell's first name is, the owner of the Cardinals. Dean Spanos texts, congratulations on signing Murray. Our Cardinals owner Bidwell texts back, thanks, Dino. He's spelled, I know that's some kind of nickname, I guess. These quarterback deals are expensive, but we limited the fully guaranteed money of some pretty good language. Thankfully, we have a quarterback that's worth paying. Do the Cardinals have a quarterback that's worth paying, you might wonder? Dean Spanos says, thanks. Your deal helps us for our quarterback next year. Bidwell says, I think many teams will be happy with it once they have a chance to review. Cleveland really screwed things up, but I was resolved to keep the guaranteed money relatively low.
I mean, come on.
Well, so there's two questions here.
I didn't even see that text exchange. You're not gonna lie, that's hilarious.
Cleveland really screwed things up is hilarious.
But I mean, come on, I understand. I know that they found them not guilty of collusion. Like that's what they ultimately said, is that the NFL MC, which is the NFL Management Council that made this presentation, that they did not directly tell them what to do. Right? That's what they said. That's what the arbitrator found.
Yeah. I mean, that was one thing. Another thing was all of this evidence involved conversations after the contracts were signed. A third thing was all of these teams have independent incentives to not want to give guys guaranteed money, so it's tough to prove collusion.
No, I mean, but this
it's
all
sketchy.
Yeah, it's sketchy, but it also makes sense. Like none of these owners want to give, as you said, the fully guaranteed contract.
An illegal thing, would it? Just to conjure
that's
up.
what they were wondering here.
Yeah, if you have got so
what's
what if
interesting, the whole league comes together and is we all want to pay these quarterbacks less money.
Well, no, that's collusion. Yeah, I mean,
right, but is that frowned upon?
So
is that illegal?
If the owners were cooperating with one another and forming a plan, that would be illegal. That would violate the CBA, and you'd have to rip it.
But now, so you see texts like that, and then the Lamar cases. That Lamar gets franchise tagged, and then not one single team makes an offer to Lamar Jackson for the Ravens to match. But I'll also
say, Lamar Jackson, the owner of the Ravens and their GM DeCosta, they asked Lamar for a list of teams he'd be interested in going to. And Lamar said, sorry, the microphone on my phone is broken, so I can't talk to you.
Oh, no, the players certainly did not
kids,
help.
This is why you hire an agent.
Yeah, his mom's
sorry,
his agent.
The microphone on my phone is broken.
But I'm just saying, when you have a situation like that where
Jalen Hurts would never.
Lamar wants guaranteed money, the Ravens franchise tag him. No, but I'm saying the Ravens franchise tag him, right? And then he has there's the potential for other teams to put forth an offer to Lamar that the Ravens can match at some point in his deal. That was a case, and not one team reaches out to Lamar Jackson. It's that's where you start to go, okay, that seems like the owners are working together to not give fully guaranteed money. So I think that it definitely happens. This is just my opinion. I think it definitely happens. Do I think it's, destroying the league? No. Do I think players are getting a lot more? Are players getting the stars getting a lot of guaranteed money? Yeah. But I mean, I see the concerns around it. I really do. It definitely is something that I believe to be happening.
Well, one of the things that came out of this was NFL owners. There's a divide between NFL owners, and you see this a lot between the rich owners that are willing to just spend endlessly. Guys when you've got the Eagles and Jeff Lurie, who are willing to do all these crazy bonus structures that involve putting up tons of money up front, and the owners that kind of just want to collect their paycheck and have a decent team.
Yeah.
And increasingly over the past few years, you've seen huge changes. Guaranteed money has gone way up. Salary cap deferment has gone way up. And the thing that really came out of this is the NFL as an organization, we're talking about Goodell here, not the owners, is more interested in protecting the guys who don't want to spend tons of money and don't want to do these complicated things and want to sort of stick to the intentions of the CBA, as opposed to these owners that are really trying to push the competitive advantage. And I think as you've got a new CBA coming up in a few years, you've got a lot of negotiation between the union and the owners, and quarterback money continues to spiral out of control. Something is going to have to change. This isn't sustainable. And what you saw was a failed attempt to try and get things in line on their own.
Well, I mean, you got someone like Jordan Love now making money that he's nowhere near it looks like he's worth.
Well, another thing you're going to see probably is there were 594 players, right, Ziggy, listed outside of the three quarterbacks that we just mentioned. who have also potentially had their contracts, like, were potentially victims of owners not providing fully guaranteed money.
Yeah, well, the NFLPA is it's far and away the sketchiest union. JC Treader right now is being investigated by the FBI for like a pay-to-play scheme with investing in a company.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, this is
like
the thing.
It's a huge mess.
This is the thing about this conversation that's difficult without making this a 45-minute conversation, because there's so much going on with the JC Treader stuff and what was his name? Lloyd what? Who's currently the NFLPA guy?
Lloyd Howell.
Lloyd Howell.
Like Christmas.
Yeah. There's a ton of
that got a laugh from Ziggy there.
There's a ton of stuff that we could talk about here, and you should, if you want to listen to it, you can listen to the Torre and Mike Florio thing where they dive into it a little bit. You can
listen. Mike Florio's lying to you if you read what he says. He says there's a smoking gun of collusion.
Yeah, Ziggy,
enemy of the podcast, Mike.
Again, I don't necessarily think that collusion is off the table. I know that it wasn't ruled it, but I mean, I saved us 10 minutes on interstate commerce yeah. Do you think there are elements of collusion? Do you think there are elements of collusion, Ziggy?
Well, yeah, there are elements of collusion. One of the three elements was satisfied in like a hub and spoke collusion case. But no, it's always going to be difficult to have collusion in something like the NFL because of the way the incentives line up. Like hub and spoke conspiracies, which is what they went for, are weird. Here's what I will say. The NFLPA has got to start doing a better job representing their players. Burying this case was super weird. Like, they contributed to suppressing this report. JC Treader testified for the owners at the meeting. Like, it was all super weird. But ultimately, the thing I'm most interested in, I'm a contract guy. You're starting to see even now the quarterback market in the NFL soften a little bit. I expect that trend to continue.
Yeah, it's a weird case, and we'll see how many more players start to get involved here. Because if you're Justin Herbert and you're seeing those text messages come out, you're saying, "Do I have a case against these guys here? Like can I actually was I supposed to make more money?" And there are a lot of players that were listed that the names haven't all been revealed, or haven't been revealed at all, other than the three quarterbacks. So we'll see how this story continues to develop. It's not the last you'll hear of it. But if you want a bigger breakdown, I know that was kind of some surface level stuff, but there is a very interesting case going on with the NFL and this collusion thing, which is not collusion.
And somebody get Lamar Jackson a working cell phone.
Yeah. The last thing we're going to talk about here today is Mark Schlereth on Breakfast Ball came out and he said the Giants should cut Russell Wilson and start Jaxson Dart. I think it's just time to rip off the Band-Aid and say, Jaxson Dart, you're our guy. And he compared the situation to when the Broncos released Russell Wilson and drafted Bo Nix. So let's really quickly think about this, guys. If you're the New York Giants, Jack, I know you're a big Jaxson Dart guy.
Yeah, I agree.
You must be 100% with him.
I'm 100% with him.
Do you think is that the best thing for both A, Jaxson Dart, and B, the Giants, though?
A lot of people will... Russell Wilson's not winning you a Super Bowl. Like, I guess this is just a veteran.
He is a Band-Aid. He likes to play along with the metaphor.
A Band-Aid and a veteran bridge. I guess Jaxson Dart sits here and watches and learns.
At this point, I think he's more of a pack of gauze than a Band-Aid. He's not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, but I just think at this point, when you're not going anywhere anyway this year with any one of these quarterbacks, why not just throw Jaxson Dart right in? I mean, it's better to get the NFL experience than to sit on the bench and watch Russell Wilson do it.
Well, can I ask you one question that I believe I know the answer to, but can the same thing sort of be said about the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, I think Dart's better than Will Howard.
No, and you think Rodgers
quarterback to the Steelers,
and Rodgers?
You think Rodgers is better than
Russ?
But I'm saying like the approach of.
Hey, no, if Russell Wilson was...
But that's because you're a big believer. I mean, you're a big believer in Rodgers. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. Like, but I mean, some people might say that's the same case.
If you think Rodgers stinks, then yeah, you can say and throw in Will Howard now.
Or even to have, drafted a first round. Not to completely derail the conversation.
Russ, I think, is not a good QB anymore. He will go nowhere.
Yeah.
So instead of having your 22-year-old Jaxson Dart sit out a year, get him the pro experience now.
So you okay? It's just, I feel
like... Let the kid play. I'm all for it. Let the kid play.
I'm mostly with Jack here. I think it doesn't just matter who the veteran is. It matters much more who you have behind them. Like Will Howard, I have no expectation he will ever become a functional NFL quarterback.
Yeah, apologies.
You're right. Dart's a first round pick.
I meant the
Jaxson
approach
Dart,
for the Steelers.
You should expect him to be a decent player. I'm not saying great necessarily, but compare say where the Denver Broncos are of where the Minnesota Vikings are. Now I know the Vikings didn't choose to sit JJ McCarthy. That just happened.
Yeah.
But the difference in our rookie quarterback got a year of experience under his belt, and we sort of know what's going to happen. Or even if a team like the Panthers, our rookie quarterback got a year of experience under belt and he kind of sucked. Knowing what you have is so much better than not knowing what you have. If Jane Daniels had sat on the bench, would the Commanders know to go all in this year? No, they'd say, well, we don't really know. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. So I think getting your guy out there, whether or not it's exactly week 1 is less important, but very soon and playing him, you need to know what you have in your quarterback. And I just don't think there's a lot of evidence that sitting guys for a year or two makes much of a difference.
Yeah, wouldn't you rather just go and play Jaxson Dart as opposed to just go like 7-10 with Russ? And then delay
7-10 might even be optimistic.
Right. And then delay Dart another year.
I'm with you guys. I think it makes no sense. Wait, now look, the Steelers case, because I agree. I think Rodgers is better than Russell Wilson.
Dart's better than...
And
actually, I don't know.
There you go. It's finally caught that. No, I think in general, when you have a team that is really not going anywhere, and Russell Wilson, as much, even though he made the playoffs last year with Pittsburgh, we know that the ceiling has been reached for what Russell Wilson can be at this point in his career, and it's not enough to get the Giants anywhere. No. So if you're not going anywhere, what's more valuable to Jaxson Dart? Is it to study and learn it? I think it's probably to get out there and get the reps.
To play.
And it might be horrible. Like, it really might be horrible. But you heard, Peyton and Eli did a sit down. I believe it was with CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and Caleb. And they were just talking about, getting reps, and that it's never easy to play quarterback in the NFL, but it can get easier as you continue to learn. And like for Bryce Young, what do you think? Do you guys think Bryce Young, if he could go back, would have rather played in the beginning or had sat out? Even though he was horrible and he got benched, I think that actually was valuable to him in a lot of ways. Because when he came back after Andy Dalton had his stint, he knew what was going on, and you saw him be a different quarterback. I attribute a lot of that probably to this failure that he had.
I think if the Giants go Jaxson Dart from week 3 or 4 on and have him play this year, they'll be in the Super Bowl next season. That's how good he is.
But that's also the thing with these rookie quarterbacks now, is we're starting to see, like, if you just go through them, we had Jaden Daniels blow up. We had CJ Stroud blow up. Like, the rookies in today's game, every now and then you have a couple of these guys who just come in and light it up immediately. So your floor might be a little lower with Dart. But I think that actually, maybe it's
I don't even know if it's
but
lower.
I think that actually gives you the higher ceiling moving forward.
And that's a good point that Ziggy brought up. Look at these guys right in their first year. CJ Stroud.
No, I just said that.
Oh, did you? Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. They've been great.
Yeah.
Now that's more of an anomaly than, the typical case with rookie quarterbacks. Most of the time they struggle.
Like when Russell Wilson isn't, Russell Wilson isn't Josh Allen, or like he's what you're going to get.
The goal that we talk about, which it seems some teams don't understand, but the goal should be to win Super Bowls. What path takes the Giants toward a Super Bowl faster? Russell Wilson right now or Jaxson Dart right now? I think the answer is Jaxson Dart.
You got with Jaxson Dart.
Yeah. And if you're wrong, you've just progressed the track of moving on to the next guy. Unless if Jaxson Dart learns a ton behind Russell Wilson, I think the best teacher would be experience, though. So I actually think Schlereth's right here. But, they made this bed now, and they have Winston, too. And, like, it's just a weird... Jameis will probably just be a backup no matter what. But, yeah, I don't know if this is the right path for the Giants. Worst case scenario, though, it should be Jaxson Dart starting at the very latest next season. So... maybe just have to wait a little bit. I don't agree with it, but I also don't think it's insane to play Russ. I just think it's wrong.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I will always encourage you to get your rookie quarterback out there to see whether they're any good or not. I understand sometimes that can go wrong, But I think, what do they always say? It's better to make the wrong decision than no decision. And the longer you push off waiting to see if your rookie quarterback's any good, the harder it is to evaluate. And even if this contract ends up working out for, say, the Packers, you don't want to be in a position where your rookie quarterback's played 7 good games and you decide to hand him $250 million. That's just not where you want to be. And obviously playing Russ for 6 games doesn't put you there. But the longer time goes on, the better it is, the harder it is to evaluate your guy. That's all I'm saying.
You know what you're getting from Russ? It's mediocrity. So why throw a season away? Jaxson Dart might stink, but he also might be very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, you don't know you're getting mediocrity. I think you are, but you might be getting great quarterback play with a great roster.
There's a better chance you get much better quarterback play from him than Russell Wilson. 100%.
Yeah, I'm not sure I believe in I don't know if I think the Steelers have a great roster, but I think
we got a good roster.
I think that offense
great. I don't know. If Aaron Rodgers plays lights out,
Rodgers is good.
Has the potential to. The roster is good enough to go on a run.
Oh yeah.
The defense is good, but I don't know if I think Jalen Warren, Metcalf, Robert Woods, and Calvin Austin with Pat Fryermuth is good enough to.
If Rodgers is good, that's good enough.
I think Lamar, Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes can solo those in that entire.
We beat the Ravens without Rodgers last year. We could do it again.
Yeah, that's why the contenders are AFC North teams, and therefore you get to play AFC North football against them for the Steelers. That's pretty good. You're just guaranteed to be in a game against those teams.
Yeah, you watch the playoff game, right?
We beat the Ravens every year.
You watch the playoff game in Baltimore?
We didn't have Rodgers.
No, I'm just saying, you're not guaranteed for a close game every year. When push came to shove, the Ravens beat down.
Well, that was in Baltimore in the playoffs. We've owned Baltimore in the last few years.
But if we're saying that's Baltimore in the playoffs, that means you need to win the division.
Yeah, with Rodgers a better chance than with Russ.
Oh no, I agree. I'm just saying this is going back on the whole Rodgers conversation. I just don't think that there's enough in Pittsburgh for me to believe that they could actually beat these elite AFC teams. Yeah, if you think Rodgers is an MVP, then yes.
And DK Metcalf.
If you think Rodgers can be an MVP
and
quarterback,
the best D in the North.
So we'll see.
What am I missing?
We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully Rodgers, for your sake, can get back to that level. All right. Well, we'll close it very, very quickly here. Ziggy had brought up. Go ahead, Ziggy. Your question the other day, because I have a good answer. I have a good answer. I think
this is a good question.
We continue the animal.
I want you to
fighting.
imagine this: you're in a cage fight with an animal in its natural habitat, or something as close to its natural habitat as you can get. You don't get any weapons. You get to wear normal clothes or whatever. Here's the deal. If you win, you get $10,000 for every pound the animal weighed. Now, you can't just say a 200-pound fully or whatever. It has to be an average weight for that animal. You can specify sex if you want. But what animal are you picking? You get $10,000 per pound if you beat it.
Easy. A 7-pound female fox.
I'd win $70,000.
I'd win $70K.
So you just want to bank $70K.
Yeah. I don't know I can take many animals much bigger with no weapons, but with $70K on the line, I think I could take a 7-pound female fox and then just call it $70K right there.
Well, if you're fighting something that's 7 pounds, why wouldn't you pick something without teeth and claws? I'm sure there are 7-pound, you could find a 7-pound, iguana.
I mean, I would take a fox.
No, I'm just saying, if you're going to go this route of lemon
Jack's thought a lot about how to beat foxes.
A fox is just a.
But why? There's teeth and claws. Why? Why are you subjecting yourself to that?
Well, I thought another 7-pound animal. I know the average weight of a fox is 7 pounds. I don't know my animal knowledge isn't quite versed.
I'm just. You said that so matter of factly.
Google 7-pound animal
is aggressive. It can only use what it has, but the animal will try and attack you. And will try.
Google 7-pound animals.
What's a 7-pound? You probably find a rabbit that's 7 pounds. There's probably 7-pound rabbits.
Really?
They're the Flemish giant rabbit, which would probably be my pick. On average, is 18 or 19 pounds.
Oh, so that's what you would take?
Oh, okay. So I didn't know rabbits.
Rabbit.
I think you got 2 choices. I think you've got that, or if you can figure out how to get to it. A giant tortoise is not a bad pick. You've got to figure out how to like get to it. I don't know. Maybe there's something in the environment you can use. Like,
Oh yeah, I'd kick that rabbit's ass. That's a good pick.
A
Ziggy.
giant tortoise
But yeah.
is between 200 and 660 pounds. I mean, the
like
tortoise
a
is not.
500-pound tortoise. Like they can't use that size against you effectively. If you can find a way to get in there,
Yeah, I don't know if I could actually. That would just be.
that's wrong. It might just outlast you. There's a reason why these things live in nature. I'm taking the 20-pound rabbit.
You know what I'm taking. And man, this could get intense. I'm taking the giant anteater. An adult male is 73 to 90 pounds. Very tiny mouth as here. If you Google giant anteater, take a look at it. Amazing creature. Like this, I don't even know why its mouth is so slender.
There's nothing really it would be able to hurt you with.
But
doesn't
I will
look like.
say
It's
the
got
claws.
super sharp claws.
Oh, yeah.
These claws look a little concerning to me.
Also, 90 pounds is not.
No, 90 pounds is not a lot.
Like 90 pounds with claws.
Yeah, like I think, but man,
But they can run 30 miles an hour. It's 30 miles an hour. It has claws. It's 90 pounds. It's going to take you out.
Like I think
what a weird looking animal.
I
You
think
see
a
this?
fox is easier than that.
Well, yeah, this is.
I'd win less money, but
What do you think? What do you think's more? I'm wearing clothes. I'm assuming, right? I have like jeans on or something.
Yeah, like you get to pick normal person clothes.
Okay, no, because if you're not wearing clothes, that there are some things exposed.
How do llamas defend themselves?
Oh, I don't know. A llama. Well, they can probably kick.
They're
can't
just
they?
big and they're just big too, right?
But surely there's like 150, 200, like an
Oh,
alpaca or
dude,
something.
dude, yeah, a llama. I don't know, man.
300 to
I
440.
think an alpaca. I think that could work.
a kick there. and
Wait,
you're in a
what
lot
about
of
a
trouble.
sloth? What are they? Do they have anything?
You could probably win that as well, but
How big is a sloth?
sloth weight 5 to 14 pounds.
14-pound sloth. You
I'm
win.
taking the giant rabbit.
10
for
to
that, 'cause,
22.
Again, sloths
look
have
at the claws on this guy though. I mean,
See, it's unfortunate because,
See
like,
that?
I think there are big
I would
water
take that,
creatures
though.
you could probably take, but you'd have to fight them in the water. You just can't get any force that way.
I'm not messing with the water.
no, I'm staying out of water.
Yeah, I'm staying out of the water completely.
Yeah, I think that
I'd go like a 15-pound animal, and that would be what? That would be
150K.
150K. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Like that's money.
100%.
yeah, I think no, I think I'm fighting the anteater, but that could be bad. That actually could be bad.
See,
I'm only
the
worried
problems-
about the
I like
claws.
yeah,
I'm only worried about the
I
claws.
don't want to fight something that's 30 miles an hour of giant claws.
Yeah,
And
no,
almost
I'm just-
100 pounds isn't small.
Yeah, it's not small, but 90 pounds. I feel like my kicking game can be in handy there. If I'm wearing some boots, that could help.
That's an interesting question, Ziggy.
Yeah, that's a good question, Ziggy.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, fight. I don't like fighting things in general, but claws and teeth are not. Well, like a seal. I mean, a seal is like something that's just teeth.
Here's
How much
I
does
think is an
chipmunk weigh?
effective way to put why I think you can't take the anteater. It's like the anteater, 30 miles an hour, 90 pounds. That hits you with like 26 or 2,700 pounds of force. That's more than a gorilla punch.
Yeah, but he's not the anteater. All right, the anteater's not.
Charge into you.
He's not going to charge me and effectively land a shot right on my knee. He's an anteater,
Why not?
man. Because I'm going to move out of the
anteater
way.
can run fast and hit you.
Because I'm going to move.
I don't buy that for a
That's
second.
if he's on a dead sprint right at me.
I don't think he'd be coming 30 miles an hour as fast as he can.
Why
right?
not?
But we're not talking about like a triceratops running at me. This is an anteater.
How much?
Yeah, it's much scarier.
What does a chipmunk weigh?
All right. Chipmunk.
Why are you?
Look up weight of a
I have
chipmunk.
no idea.
That's got to be negative
Chipmunks weigh like a couple ounces. at most.
1.8 to 5.3 ounces.
It's not even a pound. How many ounces is a pound?
Isn't it? Is it what? 16?
Oh, 16. All right. So 8 ounce. Give me an 8-ounce chipmunk. That's $5,000.
Okay. All right. We've exhausted this question.
What? What?
Let us know what you think in the
Why don't you
comments.
take a
I'm
squirrel?
sure someone in
Punt
the
a squirrel.
comments is going to have a great answer we didn't think about.
There's
What?
definitely some other animals out there that just have absolutely no defense mechanism that you can.
I'd take an 8-ounce chipmunk for $5,000. That's
I
actually
might
what I
just
would
go
do.
mountain lion, square up, see what happens. Nah,
You'd be
bad.
6 feet. You'd be dead.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.